How's everyone doing? It's G back here with PTBNL. Everyone is having a great start to their week. I just wanted to do a follow-up video, part two, to the end of the Leafs weekend as they played the Detroit Red Wings in Detroit, and then back at home last night against the Buffalo Sabres. Detroit, obviously, that game didn't kind of unfold how the Leafs would have liked or would have hoped. I talked a little bit about complacency in their game and how Berube doesn't really let them get to that place, but Detroit seemed like one of those games. Those things happen. But yeah, I thought they let things get away and kind of got a little lazy and thought that they can just kind of rest on their talent to get that game in the win column. And Detroit said, no, I don't think so, and backed out of there with the victory. And then yesterday, things didn't start out that great against Buffalo, being down early 2-0. But I thought they stuck with it, stuck with their game. I know it's Buffalo. They had lost 9 in a row coming in, but I thought the Leafs did a good job staying with it, coming back. Was so happy to see Max Domi get off the schneid a little bit, as they say. Finally scored his first goal of the season. It was great. Went to the net, stuck with it, and I thought it was a great goal. Overall, I thought Max had a great game. A nice goal from Nick Robertson, also to keep the Leafs kind of in the game there. I think they were down 3-1. When Robbie scored to make it 3-2, and then JT scored his hat trick, and we'll get to JT in a second. But I thought Nick Robertson, him as well, scoring. I was talking about secondary scoring, how important that's going to be when they get to the playoffs. It's good to see Bobby McMahon back in the lineup last night. Yeah, when it gets to the playoffs, that secondary scoring, they got to get it going. I think that's only 3 goals now from their bottom 6, if I'm not mistaken. 2 by Robertson, or 3 by Robertson, and 1 for Max Domi, so 4. He would definitely be a good addition as well. I think anything to that bottom 6 to get them going. I'm pretty sure it's only 2 from Nick Robertson though, but yeah, that secondary scoring is going to be important. In terms of that, I heard Brad Treliving is not only looking at Nazem Kadri, but I heard Brock Nelson's name being thrown around in trade rumors from the Islanders in terms of a guy like Brock Nelson or Nazem Kadri. Then you slide down Fraser Minton, and I think, I really like David Kamp's efforts these last couple of years in the Leafs uniform, but I think that it's run its course. The Leafs need 4 lines going into the playoffs humming, causing issues. When you have at least 3 going, it's ideal. A 4th line could be a banger line and just cause some havoc and be that energy. I don't think Connor Dewar is that bad a player actually at all. I think he's played with a lot of energy since he's been back this season, and so I wouldn't mind seeing him. But I think Ryan Reeves obviously is, the skating might not be there for what you require in the 4th or in the playoffs. But I'm not saying it all to get rid of Ryan Reeves. I think you need his energy, his voice, his veteran voice and leadership in that locker room somewhere. So he needs to be around the team regardless whether he's lacing them up. I think he just needs a spot in the organization somewhere. And his voice is a good one for the guys. I thought Dennis Hildeby had a great bounce back after he let in the 2 early ones. Kept the Leafs in the game. Again, he made some stops when he really needed to. Tage Thompson had a couple of shots on the power play that I thought Hildebeest did a good job. He's another one, big, strong goalie back there. So I thought he put in a good effort last night after giving up the 2 early ones. The one over his shoulder was that was stoppable, and I'm sure he'd like to have that one back. But all in all, I thought it was a good effort by Hildebeest, and hats off to JT John Tavares. This year was I thought never going to be easy, but I thought it's actually maybe shows you, you know, where he's at in his career, and I kind of maybe equated to Dustin Brown from the Kings. I believe he was kind of in the same situation, although they had won cups. I believe he was captain, and then he'd given up the captaincy for someone else on the team. So I still think he played a big role on that team, and I think that's what's happening kind of with JT. Even though he gave up the captaincy to Austin, it looks like he's playing a lot freely this year, and it shows having a great year so far, scoring goals. I know it's a contract year for him, but I think he's actually looked better this year than he has at least last season. So I'm looking forward to seeing how the rest of his season goes. If he stays on this pace and this track, once again, Mitch Marner looking like a difference maker out there. Again, unfortunately, we'll have to wait till the playoffs. That's what everyone's talking about with Mitch. But it does look like Berube has unlocked something there. With Mitch, looks a little bit different this year. He looks angrier. That's a good thing, I think. Mitch plays like that with that attitude. I think all bets are off on where this team can go, because I think Willie's ready to go. Austin's gonna keep getting better. He looked good again last night. Almost had a pretty goal where he took a pass in between the legs, kicked it up to his stick, and just rolled off the end of his blade. But it would have been a nice one. And I think he's rounding back into shape. Austin's looking good, and once again the Leafs are on their way. And I think obviously we'll see how the rest of this week goes. They have Dallas on Wednesday, I believe a rematch with Buffalo on Friday, and the Islanders on Saturday. So 3 more games to come this week, and looking forward to those. I did see a article talking about the NHL's announcing their quarter century teams, a first team and a second team for all the teams in the NHL that have been around since 2000. They'll be announcing it between, I believe it's the end of December and the end of January of 2025. So all of January they'll be announcing it. The Leafs will be the 4th team announced. Basically, the criteria is any player who's played 1 game after the year 2000, from January 1st, 2000 onwards, is eligible. In my opinion, I picked 2 teams, and my first team would be Austin Matthews. The breakdown is 3 forwards, 2 defensemen, 1 goalie. Team 1, I got Austin Matthews, Matt Sundin, and Gary Roberts at forward. Tommy Caberlet and Morgan Riley on defense, and Cujo and net. For me, winning in the playoffs says a lot, and Austin's obviously a great goal scorer, so you can't have him not on the first team. He's literally the best goal scorer in Leafs history, and will continue to do so for the rest of his career. But I got Mats and Gary on team 1 because those guys really showed it, man. Those series back in the early 2000s against Ottawa, against Carolina. They had some against Philly, against the Islanders, all kinds of teams. They made some good runs. They played with such passion that this city really appreciates. They had this city buzzing during their playoff runs. So that would be my first team. Second team, I got Mitch Marner, Nazem Kadri, Willie Nylander, Brian McCabe, and Jake Gardner on defense, and Eddie Belfour, the Eagle, in net. Again, you look at guys like Brian McCabe and Jake Gardner, they were part of playoff runs. Those were some good years in Toronto. The Eagle also, he was nasty in net, loved his attitude. These are Toronto guys. And then Mitch speaks for itself. Willie speaks for itself. And I know Nas is probably a controversial pick, but I don't know, bring Nas back. But his years in Toronto, he was that third line guy that they really relied on for a lot of toughness, and he did a lot of dirty work for those teams. And I think he needs to be respected more in Toronto for his time. So yeah, those would be my two quarter century teams for the Leafs. And yeah, so for the rest of the week, I'll be doing a NFL recap tomorrow after the Monday Nighters tonight. Yesterday was a crazy week in football. Just so much to unwind and talk about. Once again, I'll be talking about my Raptors at some point this week. They got a game tonight against the Bulls. We talked about that. I had a couple of requests in terms of basketball. A couple of viewers want lists and greatest Raptors of all time and my all NBA starting five, greatest NBA players of all time. So shout out to my viewer Keith who requested that. Guys, keep watching. Thank you for watching. Thank you for forwarding requests, stuff you want me to cover. I'm still in the process of working on some things, but send me things you want me to discuss. If you have questions, please follow me on YouTube, on TikTok. Continue to watch me on Reels. I really appreciate the love and support, and enjoy the Leafs games this week, and we'll talk to you later.